What's going on, everybody? How you all doing tonight? It is Thursday, December 2nd, 2021. And what's been going on? We got everything's good. Everything's good. Yeah, we're just here again, broadcasting to you live from Cockeysville, Maryland, just outside of Baltimore. And the weather is not bad. It's a bit crispy cool kind of weather. And I don't know, it sounds kind of strange. I don't know, is that right? Does it sound okay to you guys? Sound okay? So we're just here bringing to you another night of coffee and cigars. We're drinking coffee, smoking cigars, and just talking about whatever comes our way, as always. So, yeah. And how y'all doing tonight? This is my name is Jay, of course, as you know, here on the OnoCoffee channel. And we're just doing this every Thursday night, bringing to you coffee and cigars. Tonight's coffee is a coffee from a friend of mine down in Chiapas, Mexico. As then our cigars coming from Nicaragua, which is made by a company called Rojas. And so there should be some interesting stuff here, Now, first of all, I want to say that thank you very much for tuning in. And my apologies for last week on Thursday on Thanksgiving. You know, that was the second Thanksgiving that we've done this show, that we've had this show, right? And last year in 2020, my family finished our Thanksgiving deal pretty early. So I was like, oh, I guess I can just go and do it. So I kind of expected it to be that way this year. Of course, I didn't really think about it because it was more than just my immediate family. Now, my normal family that comes together for Thanksgiving was all there. And that, yeah, gosh, we didn't finish until we're hanging out till like 9, 10 o'clock. So my apologies. I know I said that we were going to do a show last week, and my intent was already, I had the studio set up and everything ready to go for me to walk in and do it. But, well, unfortunately, my apologies. So if you were tuning in last week, my apologies. So that's why we're back this week. And actually, this week's a little bit different because this episode is actually pre-recorded. I'm actually recording this a little bit ahead because as you're watching this right now, I'm sitting on a plane flying to Frankfurt, Germany. I'm on United out of Chicago, heading to Frankfurt on a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Probably, I don't know if I'd be enjoying it or misery about it, but this will be the very first time in 2 years that I've actually flown anywhere. So it was this trip last 2 years ago that I came home on, and that was the very last trip that I took flying anywhere. So, yeah, as you're watching this right now, I am sitting on a plane. So if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comments below, or I mean in the live comments over here. And if you have questions about stuff, put them in there. I'll read them in when I get off the plane and then answer them in next week's show. So I'm actually on the way to Saudi Arabia to be the head judge for their Barista Championship, which is a coffee competition. And so that's where I'm heading off to. So I'll be there for about 2 weeks and doing a lot of judging of coffee, of course, training judges, making sure everything's in order, as well as visiting coffee places. And I plan to be shooting some more video so we can have some nice videos coming up after the new year on this channel. So be excited to check it out. Yeah. But unfortunately, I can't answer any questions. I can't answer any comments at the moment because, well, I'm not really. I'm just kind of like Max Headroom, just kind of talking. But we're going to roll right into it. First things first, we're going to do this coffee. It's a coffee from Chiapas, Mexico, which is in the southern part of the country. And it comes from a friend of mine, Alvaro Carrasco. And Alvaro, I've known him for many years, and he called me up back in August, and he was like, hey, I got some coffees. Can you evaluate them for me? And check them out. Let me know what you think. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy to do it. I said, but hey, man, I'm really sorry, but I'm in the middle of doing our renovations here at the roastery. So it's going to take me a little bit longer to finish them. And he said, oh, that's fine. And so I told him, well, okay, no problem. And so it took a lot longer to finally get them. So finally, just last week, I was really able to get into them and really give him an evaluation. So I'm going to share a little bit of that view as well as drink the coffee. I know I forgot to do one thing. Hold on one second. I got the heater on high and it's starting to get pretty warm, and I just made me realize that, oh, well, I forgot to turn on the exhaust fan. So there we are. The exhaust fan's on. We're ready to go. But this is the coffee. It's from Chiapas, Mexico. As you can see, this is in its green form, and you see this kind of brownish coloration here. This is the remnants of what they call black honey process, where they remove the hull from the beans and they leave the mucilage layer intact and then dry the coffee from there. So you get this kind of coloration, this kind of brownish coloration, because that's basically the dried fruit pulp sticking to the coffee. Wash coffees that we use a water bath to do the fermentation that removes the mucilage does not typically have that. It's more like oh, there went my my expensive mouse. So this one is a Rwandan coffee, but it's a washed coffee. So as you can see, this is washed and it's much cleaner, much greener comparatively to the two, right? So that's the big difference of black honey washed. But the black honey tends to give fruitiness to the coffee, which I typically tend to favor. Anyway, so this is from Chiapas, and it's 1,800 meters above sea level. It is typical varietal, so one of the early or original varietals of Arabica, and it's produced in Jitotol in Chiapas, and we're going to brew that up. So I've got some already roasted and ground here, as you can kind of see, well, or not. I need to put a light like right there so it can be caught. And today we're just going to do this really simply in a French press, the Bodum French press, one of my favorite French presses. Let me grab our apparatus here. All right, there we are. Oh, it's still not high enough. What is the deal? Well, that's all right. You guys know the drill. Let me grab one more. All right, there we go. That's much better. Okay, so we're just going to take our coffee, pour it in. And, you know, we've done this on the show before, so the nice thing about the French press is that it's super simple to utilize. We're just going to put the ground coffee, add the hot water, let it steep, and then plunge down on it, and pretty much we're done and ready to go. So as always, we're making 12 ounces. We're using 2 grams per finished ounce of coffee. So we're using 24 grams to make the 12 ounces of coffee. And for this, we also have our timer. We're going to have it so that it's set to 4 minutes. We're just going to do a 4-minute brew time. So we're going to pour it in. And I'm going to pour a portion and just make sure that the coffee is saturated and wet. Yeah, that's good. This makes sure that we start the process. Now, the coffee's pretty fresh. I just roasted it last week or so. And there's going to be a lot of CO2 gases left over. So there's going to be a lot of flotation because of that CO2, which creates what we call a crust or a cap. So we're going to let that float up, and then we're going to pour the water over it and break it back down. Now, you could stir it to break it back down. I try not to I try to do it with just the water flow because I just don't want to clean any more utensils. That's really the bottom line there. But you can stir it. You can do whatever. You can even just do this kind of thing, agitate it and add more. However you want to do it. We let it stay about, oh dear. We let it stay for about 30 seconds. So I'm sure we're past that point. So now we're just going to add the full amount. And this is a Bodum 17-ounce French press, Chambord French press. So 12 ounces right about there. And like I said, we're just going to take the plunger, put it on top. I always separate the plunger from the cap because on the Bodums, it always gets stuck here. Then it makes it wider, so you can't really, it's harder to get in. So you just kind of separate the two and then drop it in. And I just kind of let it sit. And sometimes I'll just push the plunger just down on the coffee slightly, just to keep it underneath the water, right? Now, some people will plunge once and bring it back up. You can do whatever you want. I don't really know if it's much different. And then you just wait. So the waiting, let's see how it looks. Can you see? My phone light is not as nice as the other one. And unfortunately, the other one is already packed away because, like I said, I'm planning to shoot some more videos while we're away. And yeah, I'm trying to get all the right gear. I've been buying the gear that I've been selecting over the last 2 years has really been with the travel shooting in mind. And so now I'm going to test out to see how well I've selected, how well my choices were. And it's really interesting because like when I started doing this channel or starting getting serious about the channel, the first video that I released was one from Saudi Arabia. We shot at a place called Al Kandil. Al Kandil is like a fried chicken shop there. Now there's another one called there's a famous chicken joint that's kind of like their KFC, and I can't remember the name offhand, but this is a much smaller kind of local joint, but the fried chicken was fantastic. And so we shot one video there, and then I was planning to start shooting more over 2020 when we started traveling again. And then suddenly, of course, as you know, pandemic came and that all ended. So it's just been a bunch of videos about, whatever on the channel. All right, so we're coming up, still about another minute. So let's go a little bit about this coffee. So this is from a place called Finca, or it's from Carrasco Cafe, which is Carrasco Cafe de Autor. I see Cafe de Autor. And started in 2009, offering services in the area of Abrismo and, capacitación de diferentes bares de café y restaurantes. So helping coffees and restaurants, working with training their people. And, so Alvaro has, let's see, where is his, courses? No, not courses. Here we are, the coffee. So this is their actual retail packaging, and it's nice coffee. I think it's nice coffee. I did a whole evaluation on it, and just thought I'd show you if you wanted to. I don't know if they ship to the United States or wherever you might be watching this from, but you might want to check it out. And carrascocafe.com. Where are we now? Oh, there we go. 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So now we're going to press. Simple, right? Simple. We got our cup. We're just going to pour it in here. This cup, if you notice, is actually a cup that I got in Germany a number of years back. I typically this time of year, I try to go to Germany because okay, there we are. You can see here it's a little bit. The thing about French press is that it's a little bit cloudy because there's a minor sediments that are still floating around the coffee, as well as essential oil. So it kind of gives you a more robust, fuller bodied kind of experience because of that. But it does leave it a bit murky. And if you drink it, you don't want to drink it. You drink it down to the bottom, but you don't really finish it all because there is still that, after a while, that sediment sits down and like becomes all silty, and it's just not pleasant to drink later. So kind of like with Turkish coffee, you kind of leave the bottom, kind of the same thing here. All right, so let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. Nice nose, kind of nice, very aromatic, kind of fruity-ish, like maybe strawberry-ish. Pleasant, but very pleasant, very pleasant. Oh, that's nice, like kind of lively, some light fruit, but not heavy on the fruit. Not really like a natural processed coffee has real distinct heavy fruits. This is very light on that. So something you might want to check out is that as I'm talking today about the coffee, there is actually some videos there that you can compare what I'm saying. So here's the video for, so I've prepared two videos, one on this channel, Ono Coffee, and then the second part of it is actually on my other channel, Spro Coffee. And so we've kind of broken it up, and you can follow along. And basically, we're going to go through in these videos the actual breakdown of how we grade the coffee. So inspecting the green, and coming up with a designation for the green, and then roasting the sample, and then cupping the sample, and then talking about the results. So that's going to be here. And then the second one, which covers the roasting and the cupping part of it, is actually on the the Spro Coffee channel. On this one now, as you notice here at the bottom, it says it's going to release on December 13th. So next week it'll be out. Oh no, that's a little bit later than next week. Yeah, so a little bit later. So on the 13th it'll be out, and both videos will drop at the same time. So if you want to see them both, you can right away. You can totally do that. Oh, that's really kind of nice. And then the interesting thing is that as you watch this video, and then you can go back and compare, or watch that video, come back to this one and compare, like, how did the coffee, how are my thoughts on the coffee different or the same depending on the time, right? So this one we actually shot just before Thanksgiving, the Monday of Thanksgiving. And then, is that right? I think so. Sunday or Monday before Thanksgiving. So it's only been technically a week, just over a week and a half. So yeah, but the coffee, nice. It's kind of got medium body, lightly acidic. Like the acidity is real nice, but really well balanced, The aftertaste is clean and crisp. I'm actually really liking the way that it brewed. Like, it's got this nice crispy vibrancy to it, like brightness, but not really heavy on the brightness. Not that kind of like, under roasted kind of like hipster kind of brightness. Not like that. It's got a nice balanced brightness, which is really, really a nice positive thing to have. So yeah, good. All right, so let me adjust again. All right, so we're going to be rolling. Let me put this away here. Now let us get to our cigar time. And so we've got this cigar, and it's called I got it from Rahul's, of course, at Tobacco Leaf in Jessup. It cost me $9.95, and this is called the Rojas Bluebonnets Toro. Nice cigar. I mean, it's kind of elegant, understated as far as the band, like this gold imprinting on the black and blue bonnets. And unfortunately, there's not terribly a lot of information on the internet about this. Made by a guy named Noel Rojas, and I'm not too familiar with Noel. And I guess but from what I've read, he's a master blender, and has worked on Cuban tobacco farms. So I guess he's Cuban in his background, and he started a new venture, his solo venture called Rojas Cigars, and finally released this. Actually, the Bluebonnets was released in late 2019, from what I've been told. And it's made by the Tabacalera Flor de San Luis, S.A. and Esteli. And the thing about the Bluebonnets is that it's an all Corojo blend with the wrapper from Ecuador, and then the binder and fillers are Nicaraguan. And then according to Smoking Pipes, let's see what they're saying here. So Smoking Pipes is saying that it's medium-bodied smoke with notes of cream, nuts, berries, and subtle spice. So as you can see here in this image, it's got a nice box presentation. And what else? How much does it cost here? $7.65. So yeah, that's about right. $7.65 or so. I guess over here you can see the reg is $9. So somewhere between there and $9 is the MSRP. $9.95 from Rahul. So a little bit for the OTP tax here in Maryland. So not too bad. And then what are we looking at? We're looking at 5 inches by 50. Corojo, Ecuador, Nicaragua, package type in a box, handmade, knockbox print, blah, 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 blah. All right, so that's good. That's good to see. And it's pretty. It's pretty. So it comes in its own cello. So let's open it up and get into it. Oh, it feels, here's something right off the bat. There's a nice silky feeling to the wrapper. That's really it's very pleasurable. That's a pleasurable feeling on your fingers. There's a little bit of, there's not too much discernible aroma on the wrapper. A little bit of hint of sweetness on the nose. Yeah, not too heavy on aromatics, but sweetness. Definitely some light sweetness on the nose, which is very pleasant. Very pleasant. All right, we're going to do the cut here. Oh, let me pull up the feature cutter Xikar MTX tool, which is our special cutter for the evening. We're going to cut that cap. Oh, how would that go? Nice. All right. Nothing too. Oh, I was going to say nothing too vibrant on the taste buds at the moment, but there's, just as I was about to say that, there's a little bit of spurt of like some kind of sweetly fruitiness. The cold draw feels nice. Like the amount of like resistance to the draw is nice. There's a sweet tanginess, a light sweet tanginess to the wrapper and this cold tasting. All right, let's light it up and get into it. So we've got our McAuliffe cigars. One of my friends left this here. Actually, it's really McAuliffe cigars. These, you find these somewhere? They've actually been really impressive. Like watch this. Watch. So hold this. Like, look at how easy it lights. Look at how easy it strikes. Oh. Wah, wah, wah. So much for selling that, McAuliffe. But I tell you, like, that's like, okay, that's the second time that's happened to me. It happened to me yesterday, I think, when I was trying it, or the day before. But normally it lights up pretty darn well. Okay, let's try again. And I'm really, the thing about it is that I'm really only using a very light pressure. Like, sometimes you're like really striking it. This is just super light pressure, which really was what impressed me. All right, let's try again. Ready? Ah. Now I'm gonna. It tends to have a little off flavor with the whatever that combustible stuff is, but I'm now gonna. So I let it burn for just a moment. All right. There it is. The light is done. Oh, nice kind of light spiciness at the outset. That's kind of pleasant. Do I look a bit red to you guys? On my monitor here, it looks a little bit red. But I just updated the operating system to Monterey on the Mac, and it had some different settings that I don't know more. Maybe I'm just getting red. Why am I getting red? That spiciness on the palate is growing in intensity. It's growing in intensity. Interesting. Very interesting. So what's going on in your world? So I've got since I'm leaving for Saudi, it is actually Monday night when I'm recording this. So I'm recording this on Monday, November 29th. And I just finally got my flight ticket from the organization that's sponsoring me. There's a little bit of problem with the flight arrangements, so I have to see if we're going to rectify that. But I'm going to be flying out of Baltimore. Normally, I try to fly when I go to Europe or that direction across the Atlantic. I normally try to fly out of Dulles. And what I typically do is I'll rent a car here locally one way from Baltimore to Dulles, and it usually costs like $50, $65, maybe at the most. So it's kind of like this. So I think about it, and I like, if I do a round trip, so it's $120, $130 round trip. Now I could spend the same amount of money one way on the super shuttle. So super shuttle is really expensive. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to get to Dulles from Baltimore. But the nice thing about flying out of Dulles is that it's the gateway city for United. I fly United, right? So if I get a flight, let's say my flight would be Dulles, Frankfurt. And I like that routing better. Plus you get to leave at like 6 o'clock or 5:30 or something like that. So you can leave in the afternoon. Whereas a lot of times if you're trying to bid for the cheaper fares, United wants to fly you all over the system, and they want you to leave at like sometimes 7 in the morning for, you don't even go to Europe until 6. So a whole day is spent just kind of hanging out in the airport. That sucks. And so one of the routings they were all trying to get me on was Baltimore, Chicago, Newark, and then to Frankfurt. And I was like, oh no, that's not going to work. I can do Baltimore, Chicago, then Chicago, Frankfurt, and then Frankfurt, Riyadh. And that's fine. And that's the routing we're going to do. Mainly because if I had rented, the rental cars were $150. So $150 one way. So $300 round trip. It's just too much to do that, even though there's the convenience factor of, flying out of Dulles and later in the day, you don't have as much transfers. Plus, if I'm bringing stuff back from Europe, let's say if I stop in Europe on the way back and I buy something at duty free, let's say you buy alcohol at duty free. Once you get to the United States and you're transferring onto a domestic flight, you have to check your bottle. And that's a pain in the butt. So, plus Chicago's a pain in the butt. If you fly into Chicago internationally, yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Like that airport sucks for international transfers because you fly into their Terminal 5, which is their international terminal, and then you have to transfer, and then they're redoing their trains the last time I was there. So maybe the train system's done. They said it would take 2 years the last time I was there, which was over 2 years ago, but maybe not. And then you got to take the bus. You got to wait outside. It's cold. Oh, man, it's just misery at that airport. On the return, but whatever, it'll be interesting. Like I have to do the PCR test. So get my COVID test on both ends. So before I depart to leave the United States, and then before I depart to come back to the United States, PCR test required. They say masks are required the entire time on the flights. And so these are 7-hour flights, 7 hours from Chicago to Frankfurt. Then Frankfurt to Riyadh is about 7 hours. So, 14 hours of wearing masks, plus your time. I'm sure the time in Germany, especially now with the whole rise in variants and lockdowns in Europe, it's probably all masked there as well. I'm sure it is. And yeah, I wonder how it's going to be. I'm interested to know. I haven't traveled in 2 years. I wonder if the lounges are open. Actually, I probably can't go to the lounge because I don't have enough status anymore. Been home for 2 years. But hopefully we'll get there and it'll be a nice time. Looking forward to it. Finally, I've assembled a great team of judges from around the world that are coming, presuming that all of their visas are in order. And one thing about sometimes it's very difficult to get the visas arranged, depending on what country they're from. So I've got judges from Mexico, Singapore, United States. Where else are they coming from? Dubai. So it's a good group. It's a good group. A lot of them I've worked with in the past and have been part of my group for this trip as well. A couple of the people that I normally recruit for this trip, they couldn't make it due to COVID concerns. So it's sad not to have them, but look forward to having them again in the future. So far, nice. Like I said early on, there was a buildup of spice. So it built up the spice, and then it just kind of flattened out. So it's not increasing spice; it's kind of holding at that spice point, which is pleasant. And actually, it's one of the things where like my palate has adjusted to it, so it doesn't really notice that spice level anymore. But it's pleasant. It's a pleasant cigar, nicely smoking. The draw is good. It goes nicely with the coffee. Here's the thing about this coffee. It's interesting. Like we talked about how it's made with the French press, and French press tends to make it heavier. Like it's not terribly heavy, which I think really speaks to the quality of the coffee, meaning that it's got a lot of like brighter, interesting characteristics. Well, let's go over a little bit of that too while we're talking about it. So I've got our grading sheet. This is the sheet that we use to grade our coffees and figure out what they're all about. And it's actually a beautiful coffee. Like for example, here there's defects, acceptable number of defects. As you can see here, total defects. There's category 1 and category 2 defects, right? So category 1 means that if there's any one of those, full black, full sour, dried cherry, fungus, foreign matter, severe insect, or just foreign matter, though any one example of those is enough to disqualify the coffee as specialty grade. Now, category 2, these other ones, partial black, partial sours, and all those, you see the numbers next to them, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 10. Those are the number of examples of that defect that are allowable until it becomes a full secondary defect. As you can see, you can have 10 insect damage. And as you can see here, I only in a 350 gram sample. Oh, look at that. I just noticed there's an error. It says 150 grams at the top of that section. It should be 350. It should be, but anyway, so out of that 350 gram sample, we had 1 broken chipped and 3 insect damages. So 4 examples of secondary defects, but none of them equivalent to a full secondary defect. So really, really clean, beautiful coffee. So effectively a 0 defect coffee. Now, where this coffee has some problems is that, as you can see here on the other side, where it says moisture, 12.1%. That is pretty high. Like we want coffee to be anywhere between maybe 9.5 at the very lowest to 11.5 at the highest. And this is because when you have coffee that's higher than that, then you have a lot of moisture content. So you're getting technically less coffee per pound, and which, in the trade side of it, that's a problem. That could be a problem, especially when you're dealing with, let's say, I don't know, 275 bags to make a container, and you're talking about 152.32 pounds per bag. Then if you've got 1% greater moisture content or 1.5% higher moisture content, then you have that much less coffee to work with. So that's a bit of a concern. The other side of it is that at 12, when you get past, especially when you get 12 and up, you then have to concerns about, not that it's going to rot or anything like that, it's not really going to kickstart fermentation. It's not going to rot fast. I mean, it's not going to create like mold or anything like that. It's still low enough that it won't do that. But what it may do is it may accelerate the aging. So the flavor deterioration of the coffee may be faster because of the higher moisture content. So not like, you see the number and it's not like not necessarily a deal breaker, but it definitely is a concern. And if you watch the actual videos of that, I get more into it and like how we do it, and as well as how we're measuring that and how many times. In this case, I measured it 6 times to make sure that we got the right average. The coffee, this cigar is nice. Actually, nice. Not terribly distinct. Like it's not like trumpeting and fireworks. Just kind of this pleasant, nicely made cigar, good flavor, moderate amount of spiciness to it. Just kind of rolling along. The burn's getting a little bit uneven. As you can see here, burns a little bit uneven. Hopefully that will, round itself out. But as you can see, the what do you call it? The ash is quite white. So a lot of magnesium, I guess. And they say that it's magnesium. I'm talking like I know it. I just heard them talk about it. Really white means there's more magnesium in the soil. Good or bad? I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to let that burn a little bit. So let's actually, while we're at it, let us have a look at our mailbag. We've got a bunch of stuff today. There we are. We've got this thin box always means, or has now come to mean, the monthly farm rolled subscription from Privada Cigar Club. So let's see what they got here. My mailman just comes and drops it off and leaves it sitting on one of the tables outside. All right, here we are, Privada Cigar Club, farm rolled. What do they have for us today? So this week, this month is from Sinistro Farm Rolled Takeover, Farm Rolled Takeover. Where else would this happen? So we got a little bit of description here about the Sinistro over here at the bottom. The boys went down to the Dominican Republic to find one of the biggest tobacco growers and make this batch of farm rolled just for us. Sinistro wants you to know more about the farm and factory these cigars come from. So here it is. Tabacalera El Artista, Tamboril, Dominican Republic, founded in 1956 in Tamboril by a cigar craftsman named Ramon Rodriguez. Tabacalera El Artista is a family-owned company based in the Dominican Republic that specializes in the manufacture of premium cigars and the sale of raw materials. TEA produces millions of cigars each year and distributes throughout Europe, Canada, United States, and Asia, being one of the largest producers of premium cigars in the country. The most famous cigar brands produced by El Artista are Big Papi, The Slugger, Buffalo 10, Cimarron, and many others. None of those are familiar to me. Today, El Artista is a combination of 3 generations, traditions, and decades of experience in the tobacco industry. And I noted that I have never heard of them because they said that they're trying to. Sinistro wants you to know more about the farm and factory. And that's good because, these are brands I've never even heard of. So the more awareness that you can get to the public, the better it is. So as always, they have the smoke has slowed down. After I've been reading this and I let the cigar kind of try to burn more even, the smoke production has slowed down. the draw feels slightly tighter. Not sure why that would be. So as always, they have 4 cigars here. Morning, and I like this morning, noon, afternoon, evening designation. Actually, the first time I heard that was from George Brightman. George and I were hanging out several years ago, and I was considering the thought of what if I was to open my own cigar shop, and I found this little space, 250 square feet, standalone building, really kind of cute, and I was like, it could hold a little, small area. And I said, if you had a small place, how would you do it? And he said, I would group them in breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was like, oh, that's clever. That's quite brilliant. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that kind of sums up the entirety of what you need to know. Like breakfast, light. Lunch, medium. Dinner, heavy. Oh, easy. God, that was like super insightful. Anyway, so let's see what they got here. They've got a Dominican Connecticut 5x50, a Dominican Habano 5x50, Dominican Sumatra 5x50, and a Dominican Maduro. Guess at what? At 5x50. Let's have a look. Here they are. Now, this is my 4th month, I think. Yes, this is my 4th month with it. It's $26 or so, and includes shipping for 4 cigars. I think it's a great deal. $6 shipping included, and it's a variety of cigars. Now, honestly, like I've said in the past, I know I've said this. Not every cigar that I've had from them I really liked. Some of them I just didn't fit my fancy. Oh, now they're getting fancy. Look at this. So until this moment, they came unbanded. Now they're banded. Look at that. They say Privada Farm Roll. They got their own barn, and now they're getting fancy. I hope that doesn't mean that they're cutting down on the cost. Oh, and they lost the. Now they're just numbered, right? Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's a little bit disappointing because they were putting these limited edition I don't know. It was silly. They were only printed on a Avery labels on a inkjet printer, so you could see that inkjet fuzziness to it. But I kind of dug the idea. I don't know. I just kind of now just 1 and 2. Oh, boring. And the band. Now I have bands. I still have to. I don't know why we save our band, but we do, and I think it's a sickness. But I've been enjoying. I must say, I have been enjoying. I think it's a nice experience. Every month you get 4 cigars, something new to try, something different. And for someone like me, I like to have something different to try. So, smoking all right. I'm just wondering, is it? I kind of noticed that maybe the wrapper's not burning, so I was kind of starting to wonder, is it burning underneath the wrapper? That's what I was feeling right here, but I don't think so. Something about the way it's drawing is a little bit different, but it's drawing all right. All right, let's see what else in the mailbox. So this one is from Kuhn Rincon. And if you're not too familiar, Kuhn Rincon is here's my address. If you want to send me stuff, companies, send me stuff, that's the address. So Kuhn Rincon is this kitchenwares company that I've been using their products for many years. And this is what I buy from them. Pepper mills. They have this pepper mill, right? This ratcheting pepper mill. Now, most people are familiar with the pepper mills that you twist. And I don't really like the twist sensation. So I found this several years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 12. But this ratcheting, which Actually, it's probably more conducive to carpal tunnel or something, but I just liked it. I just liked it. I think it's just an easier way to do it. Now, not too long ago, I'm grinding, and suddenly the burr fell out, and all the interior popped out. It just kind of, whatever pin or thing that's holding it inside this unit in the pepper mill it just popped out, and so the whole thing just kind of fell out. Peppercorns are all over the place. Oh man, I was really disappointed. I was really kind of irritated with it. I was like, man, what the hell happened there? Like, it just kind of like imploded for no real reason. And I actually have several of these. You know, I put them in every kitchen. Somebody had Hamden. This is that one from Hamden, and I have one at home, and I've got, you know, a bunch of them. So I messaged the company. I was like, hey, what is there something we can do? And the representative wrote me back, and she was really friendly, really nice. And she was like, you know, let me send you another one. I was like, oh, you guys are awesome, because, you know, I mean, I realized it's several. She even asked me, well, how old is that? So what's several years old? And she was like, well, I'll send you another one. I was like, well, that's very kind. I really appreciate it. So thank you, Coon Rincon. I really appreciate you sending me a replacement. So let's get into it. Yeah, once she said she was sending me one, it was here like in a few days. So I was like super stoked. Yeah, they sent it on November 18th. Of course, it's just been sitting around because I'm saving it for our shows. So, all right, there it is. There it is. Oh, I got a nice sized box to use for shipping with some peanuts. Oh, it's bigger. Look at that. So they've updated the product, and we'll compare it. So as you can see, this one has a tapered. Oh, oops. This one has a tapered handle, right? Look at that, the profile. The new one has a ball handle, like a shifter. So hopefully they've improved the interior design looks very much the same. Hopefully they've improved whatever component is getting faulty. Like, this is, when I looked at their website, they had a bunch of reviews, and a bunch of the people had written on the reviews that this same implosion happened to them. So it's something that's happened before. So it goes full 180-degree rotation. As you can see here, we'll put it closer. You can see it's rotating around, and then you've got your burrs. And the nice thing about this one, I didn't realize at the time, but they're actually ceramic conical burrs. So really nice quality grind. I mean, so if you're looking for like a new pepper mill, I really do dig these. I love these. These are awesome. So size-wise, a little bit bigger. So I'm presuming there's a little more capacity to this one, which is cool. Awesome. So yeah, thank you, Kun Rincon. I really appreciate you sending me a new one. All right, how's this cigar doing? How's our coffee doing? Oh, and again, if you have me just joining us, this is leave your comments down below, or actually in the live comments, and any questions you might have, and I'll answer them in the next episode. Because even though this is a live stream, we're actually pre-recorded this live stream. So because I'm actually on a flight right now to Germany from Chicago, from the United States. I'm flying to Germany. I'm on the way to Saudi Arabia to do some head judging for their barista championship. So yeah, I'm not able to answer your questions at the moment or read your comments because of that. And actually, because of the time difference between Riyadh and Baltimore, which is 8 hours, we will probably almost certainly have next week's episode pre-recorded in the same way. But it should be a little bit interesting, because it should be better, because I'll have more people join us on the show. It should be in Riyadh. It should be kind of interesting and exciting to do. I'm looking forward to it myself. And yeah, so be sure to tune in for that. But if you have any questions or anything, drop them in the comments here, or here if you're watching on the replay. And I'll be sure to look at them up and answer them next week. So the smoke it's kind of burning oddly, like it's kind of going out in some areas. You kind of see there's a little bit of a, see that hole right here? There's a hole kind of in the center, kind of like a burrow. So I think it's lost the flame on this side of the cigar. So I'm going to touch it up with the torch. With the Cirillo technique. You can see the cherry kind of lighting up fully, right? Yeah, on a technical level, next week's show when we'll be out on the road, I'll be using my laptop, and my laptop's kind of old, but they say that this StreamYard service that we're using for our live streams is all server based, so it should have enough power and should not be overrun. Because I have my laptop is like 2013. Okay, that really helped. That really helped to keep it alive and really bring it back to life. A little more vibrant, a little bit more of a bite right now. So I feel like saliva production is a little bit higher than normal. Like it's a little bit of sharpness on the tongue at the moment. But I think that's more because of the relight. Let's see what else other people have to say about this cigar. We've got a review here from Stogie Press. If I can find it again. Here we are. So this is from June, this past June. Also, Noel Rojas. Rojas owns a place called Rojas Cigars in Richardson, Texas. I was kind of wondering because in one of the images I saw somewhere about him, he had like a Texas flag somewhere on it. Is a name that you may or may not be familiar with. Yeah, I'm not familiar. Sorry, Noel. He's been in the cigar industry for a number of years. Wayakan, Ezra Zion, Stolen Throne, Nomad, or Ohana. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Stolen Throne, that's a good one. Ezra Zion, good. Oh, speaking of Stolen Thrones, I was in when I went to Philadelphia with Rusty, we went to Widmer Tobacco, and he had the Stolen Throne Three Kingdoms. And that was really good. But I was talking to the owner, Barry, and we're talking about the cigar. And I was like, do you know anything about? Because I remember hearing something about Stolen Thrones came out with their Crook of the Crown, and that we did last year in one of the episodes. And I thought that was great. I think I even ranked it as like one of the best, or maybe the best cigar from 2020. And then I bought it in February. I bought a bundle. Right? Rahul had a bunch come in, and we bought a bundle, and I was so excited to have them. So I bought a whole bundle, and I smoked them, and I've been smoking them since that time. And so the bundle, I think, is, let's say, 20 cigars. 18 of them were just okay. Like they were good, but not like that first one that I had that was like really like remarkable, like super stellar, like, oh, this is awesome. It was really kind of like just okay. And I say the first 18 because when I got to number 19 and 20 in the last like month or so, I finally smoked the last two in that bundle. Oh, boy, that aging time had that age. Like let's say I smoked the first 18 by August. So I kind of didn't touch them for like 2 months. But in that last 2 months, wow, those really blossomed. They really became beautiful, really just lively and just beautiful. It really was with a flavor that I had wanted. So, I was talking with Barry, and I was like, is there some kind of thing where and evidently I think they changed something about the factory, or they moved it or something like that. And so there was a lull in production or something like that. And, I was like, because, honestly, until I got to that 19th cigar, my excitement on Stolen Thrones had been tempered because like that the whole bundle was kind of like, I'm just kind of smoking through it. It's almost like a chore kind of thing. But the last two were really great. And then I smoked at Three Kingdoms, and the one Three Kingdoms that I had at Widmer's was awesome. That was great. That was a great cigar. That was really, really enjoyable. I should have probably saved it for this show, but yeah, sometimes you just want to smoke when you find it, and you don't necessarily want to wait. Like, I mean, when I say wait, like this cigar comes from the last several 2 months of shows, and I bought this cigar on October 2nd from Rahul. So finally, this is the last one of the series, and we've got a couple more that are coming up. I'm going to take the band off because we're getting close to it. I kind of like this thin one. It's cute. And the gold is a nice touch. It's a pretty cigar. It's a pretty cigar with a really nice wrapper. Like I said, one of the things that I really thought was very pleasurable feeling, kind of silky, right? When I first started. I got to say, doing this pre-recorded show is nice because we want to keep the Thursday nights going, but I do miss the commentary. I do miss talking to you guys, so yeah, I look forward to returning in 3 or 4 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks where we can finally do it fully live again and fully interactive. Yeah, but definitely put down your comments down below or here. What are you smoking? What are you drinking tonight? Where are you tonight? We always want to know those things. What are you enjoying? What have you? Cheers. Ooh. Sometimes I get a little smoky. Fluid dynamics is a very strange thing that I still haven't understood. Like, here where I'm sitting, there's actually a fan trying to suction above, but behind the camera position, but above, higher, right? Maybe another 3 feet higher. There's a fan that's designed to blow the air or pull the air away from me and blow it into the other side of the space towards the actual exhaust fan. But even though it flows this way, I'm like, oh God. So it'll flow across my face, which really just causes me to inhale, which causes me to choke. And this whole thing of fluid dynamics to figure out proper ventilation has been a really interesting and perplexing challenge for the last 20 years, 10 years. Like, when I don't puff on it a lot, it slows down. Like, it slowed down again. I feel like I need to relight, or at least touch up, or maybe touch up. So since we're already starting December now, getting close to the end of the year, we're going to I'm going to have to really start thinking about what is going to be our top cigars for 2021. Like, there's been a lot of great cigars we smoked this year. So we've got to start thinking about that. So when we get close to the end of the year, we're going to say, hey, this is our top cigar. But as always, I really do appreciate you taking the time and spending it here with me. Especially, for those of you that are doing it live, really appreciate you always being here. And those of you watching the replay, thanks also for watching it. Your participation here is really appreciated. Although the smokiness is not. Maybe more coffee will help. So, you know, one of the things I'm planning to do on this trip is I'm going to make some videos. Maybe so. In the coffee world, there's a lot of guys that like to make videos or take pictures of themselves making coffee while they're traveling, especially on an airplane. And a lot of them like to bring the AeroPress onto the plane and make it at their seat. And honestly, for all these years that I've been in business, I always thought that was just silliness. Just, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? But I've decided that I'm going to be one of them now because I got the AeroPress Go. If you've seen the video here on the channel, the gift guide, the 2021 coffee gift guide, this is one of the ones I recommended. This is the new AeroPress Go. And, you know, it's compact. Like, here's the thing for me is like, when I travel, I really don't like to bring anything. Like, I really dislike bringing coffee supplies with me. I mean, I'll bring coffee. And if I bring coffee if I'm bringing coffee for myself, I'll pre-grind it. Like, I don't want to like grind it. Like a lot of guys I know, they'll bring their own grinders and they'll grind in their hotel room. I hate that. I really do. I really don't like that. And that really stems from when I was the apprentice. At 5:30 in the morning, I was the guy having to grind for everyone. So I didn't enjoy it. So now that I'm no longer the apprentice, I just don't do it at all. Especially since I don't normally bring an apprentice with me on travel. So maybe when I do that, I can. But this is the AeroPress Go, and it's really nice because it has a container with this kind of silicone-ish top, and you pull it off, and here's a little filter holder. They give you this filter holder. It'll hold 20 AeroPress filters. That's really nice. And then you've got the AeroPress. So it's a mini-sized AeroPress. And inside the AeroPress, you can turn it over, and it actually has a spoon that holds 7 grams, and then a stirrer that actually folds out. That's cool. And then a little AeroPress is smaller. So I haven't really used it a lot. I used it a few times when we were making the video, but it's a smaller capacity than the regular AeroPress, but it will hold as much coffee. So you just have to brew a more concentrated brew. So I'm not sure if you really have to go longer in the steep time or not, but I'm going to give it a try and like try it out on the plane. And the nice thing with this little like container that it has, it's actually a cup. So you can do your pressing on it. Pretty cool. So I'm going to try that on one of the flights. Maybe a daytime flight. What I'd like to do is really try to get some of the flight attendants involved. Maybe get them to show me how to make coffee on a plane, how they do it. I'm going to try to get with the United flight attendants, the Lufthansa flight attendants. You know, Germans, they're a little bit more serious. Like, I remember one time I was flying somewhere. Maybe it was to Dubai or somewhere out that way. No, it was to Africa. So I fly to Frankfurt, and I get to Frankfurt, and I check in at Lufthansa, and I ask the crew, I was like, "Hey, is there any upgrades available?" They're like, "No, there's no upgrades available." All right, no problem. I get on the plane, and the business class is completely empty. I was like, "Really?" I was gonna bid for a seat. You didn't want to. Because I think Germans they're very much about rules. They're very rule oriented. Like, you did not buy the ticket, you cannot upgrade. It's like, oh, all right. But overall, I can't say that the Lufthansa flight attendants are usually very courteous and very friendly overall. Like, I find flying Lufthansa to be quite a nice, pleasant experience and comfortable even. But I'm interested to know, like, when I was looking at booking the flights, the flight loads that I looked at showed that the flights were actually pretty light. The international flights, like domestic flights, I think are very full right now, but I think international flights are pretty light. So hopefully that means that I can get a whole row for myself and can spread out, man spreading, and maybe fat guy spreading. And I like it on the on the United flights, especially when you're flying. Oh, actually, we're flying the 787. Normally fly the 77, the 777s, but I guess we're doing the 8s. And I think the 8s have 333 across. The United 777-200s are 343. And typically I like to get on the right side of the plane in a 3 aisle and just kind of hang out on my own, like build my own little cocoon so I can hide out. Actually, when I have that kind of setup, I'm not really missing out. I don't feel like I'm really missing out too much on a business class seat. Like United has their new product, or it's relatively new, called their Polaris business, and that looks really nice. It looks really on the level of international carriers. Like it's actually probably. I did get to do it. I was invited to an event and I attended this event, so we got to check out mock-ups of the cabin, and it's very much on par with like what I've flown with Thai Airways. So Thai's old business product was very similar to this. So it should be it should be, I'd like to try it, but I don't know if the flight load is really low, then I tend not to find it to be worth the expense, both in cash as well as miles to spend on an upgrade. Especially since these are 7-hour flights, and 7 hours is a bit of time, no doubt. But I prefer to like bid for upgrades on like the 12-hour flights, because that's when you really get into the groove of like having the bed and all that. Because like, for example, let's say we fly out of Chicago, let's say at 6 o'clock, and it's 7 hours to Frankfurt. It's 6 o'clock. So, and if it takes 7 hours, and I typically go to bed around 1, which means that right around the time that I would be going to bed, we'll be landing. So trying to sleep on that, even though technically it's an overnight red-eye flight, it's still during like my living hours. So I tend to not sleep at all on those flights. So it's like, if I'm not going to sleep or not really get any real sleep, then is it really worth it? I tend not to think so. And then on the way back, you're flying Frankfurt, Chicago, which is another 7-8 hour flight, but you're flying during the daytime. So that flight probably leaves around 1 or 2 p.m. Frankfurt, and then you're flying back into the United States, back through into the day. So you arrive almost not too late in the day, maybe around a similar time. So it's like, oh, and you're not really sleeping. The one where you could sleep is like the flight from the Middle East to Europe, because that tends to leave like at 1 a.m. And so 1 a.m., 7 hours. Okay, that's where you can sleep. So the cigar is doing nicely. Good Lord. Let's go back and see what cigar guys have to say. Still impressive. Let's go down a little bit more. So in this line, they have six sizes: Lancero, Toro, Robusto, Mariev, Corona, and a Torpedo. Ooh, Torpedo. Oh, so he was smoking the Bluebonnets Toro, so a little bit size larger, 6x50 instead of the 5x50. So blend should be similar, just a longer smoke. Well constructed, smooth dark brown wrapper, closed foot. I didn't notice that. I don't think it's closed foot on the Robusto. Maybe it's only the Toro. So here it is, running the Blue Blossom with a sweet and fermented leaf note. Oh, sweet and fermented. We agree on that. That's great to see. Slow growing pepper. Yeah, I can totally agree with that. Black licorice. I didn't really get the black licorice. Again, some things like that, maybe that's being included because I'm drinking coffee with it. Initial light, sweet, delicate sweetness, full volume smoke, Light gray white ash. Yeah, for sure. Berry notes wrapped in cream nuance. Oh, touch of coffee, slight medicinal note. Haven't noticed that. Sweetness, maple syrup. 92. I got a comment not too long ago about the scoring thing. Because, I was kind of talking about scoring and how I kind of disagree with the way that we score, the way that the cigar industry uses scoring, because there's no real unification. And one of the comments I got from one of the viewers was that Steve, he was like, well, stop complaining about it. Why don't you create your own? You're right, Steve. I should. I am thinking about it, and I plan on working on it, and I'm going to follow something similar. I think the best way to do it is, as you can see here on this card. Oh, as you can see here on this card right here at the top, there's this tick marks and slashes. You can see here. This is actually the way we score coffee. We have different categories. We've got color of roast. We have aroma and fragrance, flavor, aftertaste, acidity, body, balance, and then those are the major categories. And so I think that we should be looking at, developing categories similar with, that we can use to really kind of review cigars. Maybe I'll try to get that launched for 2021. Maybe a better fan. All right, so let's go back to the mailbox. So a couple episodes ago, Tony mentioned about the Saints and Sinners package, and I mentioned that I hadn't really gotten mine, and I think I got a notice that they had sent it out, and Tony had gotten his, and I have mine sent to a post office box, and I tend to not check the post office box very often, maybe like once a month, if that. Actually, it gets me in trouble because I'm always like getting so much mail there, and it's like, oh, I got too much. So I finally checked it, and here it was. This is the Saints and Sinners pack. If you're not too familiar, Saints and Sinners is a club that Pete Johnson and Sean Casper Johnson started several years ago. I've been a member now since 2013. I think that was maybe the third year that they were in business. And basically, it's if you're a lover of tatuajes, and for a long time it was only 666 members. Now I think they've increased it to 1,000. And every year they send you a box of cigars, 15 cigars, usually 5 packs of 5 different cigars. And then they also send you a bunch of swag. And so I was kind of mentioning to Tony that, because I think I said to him in the show, I was like, oh, what did they send us this year? Because, like after so many years of membership, I've got swag, tatuage swag coming in. I'm floating in it, right? I'm floating in this tatuage swag. So I don't necessarily need more. Like, how many lighters does one really need? So he said, oh, it's not too bad. So here we are. We got a shirt. Cool, very cool. Always need a shirt. Although I still have like at least 4 years worth of shirts still in their plastic. Ooh, more cigars than normal. Okay, so here we are. There are 10 cigars of the Tatuai MBS Wickless BK. I don't know what BK is. But, look at that white banded. Kind of like shorter than Robusto, I think, right? Ooh, that looks kind of nice. Look at that darker color. Oh, that looks pretty good. Oh, membership card. 11. What does that mean? 11 years? Yeah, a little. Even the channel name's on here. onocoffee. Oh, our challenge coin. So they have a challenge coin every year. So this is challenge coin number 11. That's nice. One of these days I'm going to get bit because the idea is that with amongst club members, you carry a challenge coin, and who doesn't have this coin then has to pay with cigars. But I haven't been challenged in a long time. I haven't seen the guys challenge each other. Oh, so look at this. Just the shirt and the coin. And Tony did mention this. And the box of 11. And there's a little box in there. So let's see. Let's go to the little box. Ooh, looks like a 2-stick something. We should open it. Let's open it. I better puff on this because it might go out. Still nice. Still nice. All right. So what's inside here? Let's look. Oh, 2 TAAs. Oh, upside down. 2 of the TAAs, two different wrappers. Looks like a Connecticut broadleaf and maybe Habano wrapper. Sumatra Habano or something like that. Nice. I'm digging it. I think they did this last year as well. And then finally, we have our 11 box. Well, I'll get into that as well. See what they got for us. We got our little label here, little Celo de Garantía. Now, I'm a little bit OCD in this respect. Like, I don't like to peel it off. I like to cut the cello so it's all nice and straight lined. Right, so that when I pull it off, it comes off straight. Ah, yeah, that's what I like to see. All right. And so they've got the Saints and Sinner bands on them. 5 different cigars, and there's 3 packs of each in this box, as always. They don't really tell us what it is. There is a private forum that members have access to, and the guys on there will discuss and argue about what cigar they think it is, and then at some point in time, Casper or Pete will tell us exactly what they are. So we'll find that out. But thanks, Uncle Pete. Thanks, Uncle Casper. I'm always happy to receive that. Man, this is actually quite an abundance of cigars. So 10, 15, 25, 27 cigars. Ooh. Since that's been sitting for like a month in its box, I'm going to have to send it to the humidor, the big humidor, and let them chill for about a month. What am I joking? I'm actually, it's going to chill for a month only because I'll be away for 2 weeks. Otherwise, I'd probably bury into it right away. So I think the intensity of the cigar has appreciated some. So I'm getting a little more concentration of like power, flavor, maybe a little bit of pepperiness to it. Let's have a look here. Cigar scanner. Let's see what these guys have to say. So these guys used rankings from other viewers. So let's see. This is the guys that say 4 stars, solid stick, 5-pack worthy, great draw, burns uneven at times, appearance nice. Okay, good. Then how about the 5-star rating? Any comments? No. Okay, we're gonna move on. Cigar art. I thought they might have a review. Oh, here, Bluebonnet Robusto. Oh, no Robusto. Okay, forget that. Move on. 2 guys. Any review? No review there. Cigar Authority. Oh, there we go. Cigar Authority. There we go. So we're looking at their Rojas, Corona Gorda. So this one's a little bit thinner, 6x46, where this is a 6x50. So slightly smaller in the ring gauge. So which means that the blend of the amount of tobacco is going to be a little bit different. Hello, Bazooka Joe. The cold draw simply reminds me of old school bubblegum, complete with the powder coating. Sweetness, yes. Bubblegum, I don't know. I didn't see that. But definitely the sweetness for sure. And then burst of pepper, yeah, that's for sure. First third, notes of pepper pull back as some licorice becomes with subtle cherry. I think we mentioned something. There was a little bit of fruitiness at the beginning. I can see that. They say the cherry sweetness becomes more berry. I haven't really experienced that. And then now that we're in the kind of the final third, they had pecans. But I wonder how much of this is also being dictated by the difference in size. You know, a greater, like the sweetness coming from the wrapper. You know, with the 46 ring gauge versus 50, there's a better concentration of wrapper to the blend. So that could be a lot where this sweetness and berry notes come out more. And they give it a 93. Oh man, these are some high scoring stuff here. Oh, and then Noel Rojas. I did notice that he has his own Twitter account, King of the Small Gauge Cigars. Where's his tweets? You know, I do have to be honest with you. I really don't use Twitter anymore. Since I've had problems with Facebook and Instagram, I'm thinking about maybe starting to use it to Twitter again. But new sales rep Mark Weissenberger as the new sales rep for Rojas Cigars in Virginia, Maryland, DC. Excellent. What's he smoking there? That's a small ring gauge for sure. Okay, let's see what Half Wheel has to say. Half Wheel doesn't really have anything about this particular cigar. New Nicaraguan factory. Nice. Just off Avenida Central between Calle 15, Calle 15. And Calle 16, Sudoeste. About a mile and a half northwest of the STG factory. So yeah, okay. So I know exactly. I don't really know where that is. It's been quite a number of years since I've been to Esteli now. Goodness. So the coffee is pleasant. Starting to get, so it's cooled down quite a bit. So they're starting to get a little bit of roughness on the finish, right? On the palate of the finish. Like on the tongue, when you rub it against the tongue and the roof of your mouth. It's a little bit like talc powder or cornstarch, that kind of like light roughness. So what have you guys been up to lately? I've been following along on my shows. You know, I finally just saw the new Hawkeye. So they released the first two episodes of Hawkeye with, of course, Jeremy Renner and the newcomer, Hallie Steinfeld. You may have seen Hallie in that movie. What's it called? Pitch Perfect. You know, that girly flick. I don't watch those kind of things. Of course I do. It has Anna Kendrick. I'm watching that watching everything she has. Oh, you know what I think it is? I've got the heater running, right? So it's a heater, it's a radiant heater, gas powered. So I've noticed that when the radiant heater is on, it puts a hot thermal layer right about here. So that kind of holds the smoke down. It's very frustrating. One of these days, we're going to get this whole ventilation and HVAC right, like the professionals do it. One of these days. But it's smoking nice. It's smoking nice. So Hawkeye was good. I think it's good. It's a fun show. It's a good show. Especially if you like Hawkeye and the Avengers, they make some funny references to the whole series. What else have I been watching? Of course, I've been watching The Blacklist. The Blacklist is, they killed Liz at the end of last season because the actress wanted to get out. I still don't understand that. Like, if you're an actor, like, you've got a hit series, you're running. Yeah, I get 8 years is a long time to be on a series, but you may never work again. So why not run it for all you can? But The Blacklist is doing well. This Star Trek Discovery has started. That's been a lot of fun. I do like Star Trek Discovery, and I hear there's a lot of people that don't like it. A lot of the hardcore Star Trek guys, but I don't know what there's not to like. And then, speaking of shows that people don't like, Doctor Who. A lot of people like complain about. So there's showrunners, right? And on Doctor Who, since they brought the woman doctor on, Jodie Whittaker, to be the doctor, they also had a new showrunner, which is a guy named Chris Chibnall. And people have been hating, like Who fans have been hating on Chibnall ever since he started. Like, the quality of the scripts aren't as good, the show's not as good. I don't find them to be terrible. I find them to be fine. I mean, I enjoy watching Doctor Who. I enjoy watching this series. So, whether or not it's as good as maybe other years is not really the concern for me. I just want to see more of it. And they've taken like 2 years to produce this series. And typically British series run 10 episodes or so, maybe 13. And so 2 years to make. Now this series is 6 episodes. So I'm a little bit irritated with that. It's like, we waited all this. Like, I've argued with people online and in Doctor Who fan groups where they're like, whatever. And I'm like, I don't really care about the Chibnall thing. I just care that it's taking so long. They're like, well, it takes so long. I said, American television can produce 1 hour series, 23 episodes, in a year. And these guys can't do 10 in like 2 years. And now they kind of came out with this, and it's 6 episodes in 2 years. I'm like, 6 episodes? What in the world is that all about? So I must say, I find that the number of episodes that they're having this year to be very disappointing. So there's one more episode left coming this weekend. And then they'll have a New Year's episode. And then evidently at some point in time, Jodie Whittaker is going to transition out of the doctor and they'll have a new doctor. So I imagine that'll happen on the New Year's episode. But that's 7 episodes in 2 years. I'm like, man, 7 episodes, God. And then Peter Moffat is coming back to be showrunner, which a lot of people like because people like Peter Moffat. But I'm neither here nor there with that. I mean, he made some nice shows and all that, but I just want more. Just produce, make it happen. But I must say that this 5, especially the first 4 episodes of this season, I think have been very good, very, very good. It's been very good. Like, I haven't, since I have been on Facebook this last month or so, I haven't been interacting with the Hoof group, and I'm kind of curious to know, like, what do they think of this series? Because I think it's better than the other Chibnall ones. Like, I think this is his best work yet. Like, if you follow Doctor Who, there's all these villains, right? Species of villains, Sontarans, Daleks, Cybermen, Weeping Angels, Oods. Who else is out there? They're all pretty much in this series, right? Like they brought them all back. It's like the hits are here. They're like playing all the hits, so it's kind of fun in that respect. And then Navy SEALs or the SEAL team, I've been watching that again. That's been good. SWAT's been good. But SEALs have been interesting where the lead character, who's the team leader, he's been suffering from PTSD as well as like memory issues because he's had so many concussions and so many explosions that he's been involved in. And he's been operating for over 20 years throughout the entire Afghanistan campaign. And the last episode, they kind of left with a cliffhanger for their mid-season break, where basically Jason, the team leader, issued an order to some of their support troops to blow up this hole in this building that actually was the hole was actually where they placed the explosives where they had a bunch of ordnance inside that the enemy was storing inside the building, which caused the building to explode and bring the whole building down and nearly kill his own team. And they finally come out with that as their big revelation. And so like it's kind of interesting to see where they're going to go now. So this guy, Jason, he's been the center of the show for the entire run for 5 seasons. And I don't know if the actor that plays him wants to get out or whatever, but they're kind of building it in a way that at some point he may have to be pushed out of the show or at least out of the team. And so where is he going to go next? How are they going to go with that? Are they going to lose him? Are they going to eliminate him from the show completely, like they did with Liz in The Blacklist, or something else? I'm curious to know. That. And then I've also been watching that Nickelodeon show called Star Trek Prodigy, that animated series that's been kind of fun and interesting. It's completely different than the other Star Trek stuff, but that's been an interesting series to watch. And then I'm watching right now this one show, this movie. They have it on YouTube for free. It's called Emperor. It's about the Emperor of Japan, Hirohito, and at the end of World War II, and it features Tommy Lee Jones as General Douglas MacArthur. And it's really about one of his brigadier generals, one of his subordinates, who's been tasked to figure out the role that the emperor played in World War II and whether or not the United States should execute him for war crimes. And that's an interesting movie. I've been watching it in spurts because I'm just kind of watching it here and there. But that's a good question, is how involved was Hirohito in the war planning? Was he more a pacifist, like they say, he's been portrayed, or was he really more involved? Or was he directing the prime minister to do the various things that happened in World War II, like the rape of Nanking and the invasion of Singapore and invasion of the Philippines and things like that, but the Undeath March and all that. And that's been interesting. And there's no spoiler alert. I mean, they don't execute the emperor at the end. It makes you kind of wonder, like, had they executed him at the end of World War II, what would have the result been? Would the Japanese have risen against them? Would that have created enough unrest that they would have risen against the occupying forces in Japan? Or like, I was reading I ended up doing some Google searches on it. Then there was this one scholar from China who was talking about a lot of the inability of the United States to execute the emperor has led to general unrest between Asian nations since World War II. And I thought that's an interesting perspective. And then, of course, there's the other side of it where, America using the atomic bomb on Japan. Why? And, a lot of the argument is that it saves lives, but you wiped out hundreds of thousands of people in one blow. But, you think about it a little bit more and like, why? America was a different country back then. A lot more racism was much more institutionalized, much more accepted in general society. You know, we think about the war, like in this area, Pennsylvania, DC, Maryland, a lot of Germans, a lot of people of German heritage, none of which were interned in camps where Japanese on the West Coast and around the country were. And we didn't go to the extremes with our weapons. They say they didn't have them at the time to use, but it does make you wonder, like, why didn't they intern these people? How much of that was racism based? I mean, we have, as a nation, America has come a long way since that point. But still more to be done, more to be done. Like more exhaust would be great. So we're getting down towards the end, and it's been pretty good. It's smoking a little bit hot right now, but not bad. My palate's drying out a little bit more. I must say, though, that it's been a little bit more of a static cigar. Like, we started out with this nice sweetness on the wrapper, on the cold draw, on the cold taste. And then when we lit it, it kind of like came up with this kind of like buildup of spice, kind of excitement. But after that point, like I said, my palate kind of got adjusted to the intensity of the spice and just kind of been there the same way. And now it's getting a little, now we're almost done, right? But which is a good thing. We're almost done, but it's now at this point, it's starting to get a little more tedious to smoke. Like, it's not been tremendously exciting, especially in this last third. I'm always just flying this over. And so I'm looking forward to this trip. We normally in the past have done these camping trips. Well, what they call camping. It's not, you can camp, but I don't like to camp anymore. Like, let me go back to my hotel room at night and sleep. But we've typically gone out to the desert, and they set up camp where the guys there, they're really into the desert thing. So they bring a whole bunch of food and stuff and these cushions, and you set up this, you go in the middle of the desert in the sand, you find a spot, and you set up your camp, you set up a fire, and it's a great place to hang out and eat and talk and drink coffee. And it's really a wonderful time overall. So I'm hoping we'll have enough time to bring our judges to do that again. I think that's really a fun time. So we're getting kind of to the end, which brings us to the question of our weekly question. Would I buy it again? You know, if this cigar was at the $6 price point, hell yeah, the answer would be hell yeah. But at $10 here in Baltimore, in Maryland, I want to have more liveliness. I want to have something that really hits my palate. You know, especially at this price point, this is really where I compare things to the Rommel Craft Revenge, as all of you know already. And the Revenge just gives so much pleasure all the way through that this one is not to that level of enjoyment for me. So I probably would not. It wouldn't be a cigar that I would avoid. Like if I went to a cigar shop looking for something to smoke and this is what they had, I would certainly go with it. It wouldn't be a bad choice. But it wouldn't necessarily be my first choice either. So right about now, like if you're just joining us, thanks for joining us a little bit late, but that's all right. Even though we are live, and I'm actually on a flight right now, heading to Germany from Chicago, flying somewhere probably about 40,000 feet in the air, trying to be comfortable. Because this is a pre-recorded show. So if you have any comments, questions, put them in the comments over here or down below if you're watching this on the replay. And I will review those and bring those up for the next show. The next show will be in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. We'll be in Riyadh for the next 2 weeks and judging coffee competitions. So it should be a good time there. And I think, and hopefully I'm going to get the people to come join us on the show next week. That'll be, some of our judges and maybe some of the locals there so we can have some really interesting conversations, hopefully about cigars and coffee culture, as well as local culture in Saudi Arabia. So if you have any questions about life in Saudi or anything like that, be sure to drop those in the comments so that I can pose those questions to our guest next week. All right, I'm going to put this down because we're right about here, and it's getting much more difficult to draw. All right. That's good. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate you spending another Thursday night here with me. We'll be back next Thursday with cigars from Widmer's Tobacco in Delaware County, just outside of Philadelphia. I picked up some smokes from them. We're going to be smoking those next week. So be sure to check in, and then we'll have another schedule coming out as we return to the end of the year. And so thanks again. If you have any comments or questions, drop them down below, and I'll be sure to get to them. Otherwise, hope your week's going to be a great one. Hope your Thanksgiving was good. Mine was really good. And we'll see you then. Oh, yeah. And Alvaro, thank you for the coffee. All right, see you next time.